What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the second episode of the Load Management Podcast. I'm Ethan Housen.
I'm Rashab Jane.
I'm Zach Slaff. Wait.
And I'm Rahan.
So we've all introduced ourselves
Yes,
at the same time.
We love doing that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so I wanted to start off with something that happened to me on Friday, which is very much basketball related. I was driving home from work, and I did a no-no because I saw a Twitter notification come up on my phone while I was driving, and the notification said, it was a tweet from Shams Charania, we all know very well.
Shams bone.
And it said, breaking news, Philadelphia Sixers star Ben Simmons has just been traded to the San Antonio Spurs for DeJounte Murray, Thaddeus Young, and Keldon Johnson.
The fuck?
I clicked the tweet. I was driving also. So this is all bad. This is all wrong. And I clicked the tweet, and I swear to God, I saw a check mark next to his name, and I was like, holy shit, this just happened. So I called my friend, who's a very big I was actually going to message you guys, but I decided not to. Thank God I didn't. But I called my friend, my very good friend, who's very as big as into basketball as I am, and I thought, swear to God, for 10 minutes that Ben Simmons had just been traded to the Spurs. But then I looked again, and that check mark was not really a check mark; it was some other symbol.
Meme.
So basically, the moral of,
to be honest, I like that actually for Philly. That's pretty good.
The moral of the story is, I got duped by fake news. And the moral of the story is, don't text and drive because you might read fake news.
Sure.
Keep that in mind. I mean, that's a pretty good segue if we want to jump into Ben Simmons right now. Or do you want to keep that for later?
I think we should keep that for later just because that's what we wanted to do. But the story does involve Ben Simmons. What I'm saying is don't verify your sources, man, especially when it comes to this tabloid, all this really media-heavy tabloid stuff, because that shit can come at any time. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Fake news is bad.
Fake news is bad.
I don't know.
Topic one, we want to get started?
Yeah.
Topic one. Rashab found this really cool Reddit post. You want to read it aloud for us really quick?
Yeah, sure. So I was scrolling through Reddit. I follow NBA Reddit. If you guys don't follow NBA Reddit, you guys definitely should. They definitely throw out some really interesting topics, conversation starters. So I actually read this one Reddit post. Would you trade your franchise's current best player for your franchise's all-time best player? So just as an example, if you were presented the option of trading your team's current best player from this point forward for your team's all-time best player starting at their peak going forward, would you? For example, would Hawks fans trade Trae Young for Dominique Wilkins? Would the Hornets fans want to trade LaMelo Ball maybe, if that's their currently best player, for Kemba Walker, who may have been their all-time best player?
Alonzo Mourning, maybe. I don't know.
Or Alonzo.
So let's just go on your teams. I know you're Celtics, Rose, 76ers. I'm a Pelicans fan, and then we got Slack as the resident Knicks fan. Really good showing from the Northeast out of this group. I like that. So who wants to start?
Not me. I already told the story.
All right,
go last.
I'll start.
Yeah, I'll go second.
You know, we're a Pelicans-based podcast. We were located, mostly founded in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess the first part of this question is, who is the current best player on the Pelicans? I think that's a no-brainer, Zion Williamson.
Absolutely.
But the tricky part is who is the best player all time for the New Orleans Pelicans? For me, I think it's a toss-up between Anthony Davis and Chris Paul.
Of course.
Um,
I don't think you can't. I think you have to pick Chris Paul.
CP.
really, as the all-time greatest
Yeah,
over
Anthony
Anthony
Davis
Davis.
wasn't successful on the Pelicans yet. I think he's recently become like.
You
that
think
top
you think
five player
Chris
in the
Paul was more successful than
I
Anthony
think he was a
Davis?
more
Yeah.
impactful player for the New Orleans Pelicans than Anthony Davis was. Like when you think of New
Interesting.
Orleans and past best players, I thought about Anthony Davis because he was a superstar and he was a top 5 talent when he was there. But he took us to the second round once, had no MVP seasons, nothing like really crazy. Chris Paul was like second in MVP one year, conference finals in 2008, right? Maybe
Okay, fair.
7.
I think at the end of the day, the thing is, I don't really think there's a wrong answer here. I think both players. I think Chris Paul is probably pretty easily more successful. At least talking about the Pelicans years, more successful player, had a better stint on the team. But
Yes,
they're pretty much, in terms of like level of dominating the game, they're pretty much equal.
I agree.
Yeah, I
In
think
terms of their
impact
how
on
good
the
they
team.
are, they're pretty much equal. You can't really go
Okay.
wrong with either one.
Yep. That's true.
So I guess the conversation then is, do I trade Zion Williamson for Chris Paul? And in my
a good
opinion, it's a tough one, but I think
Tough.
if I were the one leading this team, I would stick with Zion.
It's CP in his prime. Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, but
It's
I've
CP in his
seen
prime,
CP in his prime.
but CP. Yeah, you know the.
I
potential
know
of
exactly
CP.
what CP is going to give me, and CP can't wreck a game by himself. He needs that star player. We see that on the Suns, like he needs Devin Booker. He needs like
Suns,
that
Houston, and the
second
Clippers.
fiddle.
He needed somebody second banana.
I think if it was Anthony Davis or Zion Williamson, I think that's a much different conversation. I think that's a really big toss-up. I think you can't go wrong with either. But in this one, I think Zion, especially with the evolution of point Zion, I think that having Zion and keeping him is one of the best things the Pelicans can do as a franchise.
Agreed.
And yeah, I would stick with Zion. I think that sky's the limit for him. I think we've seen him in not even one full season yet, but from what we've seen the first 2 seasons and the games he's played, he is unguardable. Can't scheme for him, can't scheme against him. You just have to hope that he has an off day, which is very rare.
I will say, I just want to make a quick comment. I feel like I love Zion. I love what he is. But it's really hard to see his impact on winning at the moment. Because he's not a defensive guy. And I feel like more and more you need your star players to be absolute beasts on both ends to actually see a big difference. And I don't know, like he just seems like a Devin Booker pre Chris Paul on the Suns, just putting up great numbers, like extraordinary numbers. This past year he's 27 points per game on elite efficiency. I don't know, but like I think we might look back on Zion's stint and find it remarkably close to Anthony Davis's stint, where he was incredibly successful himself, but the team had very little team success. And he actually needs someone to actually he's the second banana. So
my thought process into this is that the Pelicans are not a championship contending team. They never were, to be honest, and I don't see them being one in the future. So another part of my motivation for keeping Zion is he keeps hype, he keeps interest, he keeps fan appeal. He sells tickets, he's going to sell more tickets than I think Anthony Davis would. I think
that's the key here.
That's a good point.
Again,
You're hitting
what we're looking at though.
I think Rashab is hitting the nail on the head right here. You don't know what this guy's capable of. We haven't really had the Zion experience yet.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I
We've
think
had the
that
Chris Paul experience and we've had the AD experience. We have
yeah,
not
and
had
we
the Zion
know what they
experience.
bring, and we know exactly how many tickets they're gonna sell, what kind of appeal they're gonna bring to the
Agreed.
city.
It's my
I
department.
think Zion Williamson provides very unique if we're able to keep him long term. I think he provides a very like LeBron had the LeBron effect in Cleveland. I think Zion is going to have a very similar effect if he stays with the team and we have moderate success, which I think we can. I think that we are a much better team than our record showed last season. I think that if we end up being like a play-in team this year, I'm happy with that success, and I'm glad I kept Zion.
Agreed. Nice.
Do you
I
think the
agree.
Pelicans would be a play-in team this year, though? If we're being honest, you're in the Western Conference. You have to remember, there's a lot of good teams out
A lot
there.
of competition.
A
Yeah.
lot of good teams. That's true.
In both conferences, a lot of good teams.
In both conferences, yeah, are the Pelicans? I'd say the Pelicans, their ceiling right now would be a 9th seed. That's their ceiling.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would agree.
I don't
with
see them
that.
getting into 8th seed, 7th seed.
Which is a play-in.
Really,
Yeah, but that's their ceiling.
I would
a
say
pretty
their
high
ceiling is 7th seed.
Yeah.
I think the last year that the last 4 teams, or even like the last 5 or 6 teams, it came between like 1, 2,
San
3
Antonio.
games.
Okay, but then if you're saying they're 7th seed, right? The Pelicans, right? They have to replace someone out of those 8 teams that were there last season. Right?
Yeah,
Would you say that the Pelicans are better than that were in the playoffs?
Memphis.
I
There were a
think-
couple.
Okay, but Memphis, you remember the Warriors are coming back too, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
the
there were a
Warriors
couple
played
games
the
behind Memphis. There were a couple games behind. Well, I guess last year the Lakers and the Mavericks were doing, and the Trail. Everything was within like 3, 4, 5 games max. The disparity between wins and losses between like the bottom. I mean, other than the top 4, which kind of like solidified their place, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, even 11 and 12, like the Thunder, the Kings, the Spurs, the Pelicans, they're all like in the mix. It just came down to 4 or 5 games, And I think with the development of Zion, getting the chemistry of Zion and Brandon Ingram together, I think they can make a push for the 7th seed. Anything beyond that, I'll be surprised, but 7th seed, I wouldn't be surprised if they made it. I wouldn't be surprised if they were a 10th seed,
Nice. Okay.
Listen, Zion. I think Zion's only going to get better, and I think the Pelicans are probably doing a very good job in terms of trying to keep him healthy and trying to maintain him. He doesn't, he's not flying as high as he used to in college or whatever. It's
he's
his
still
game,
electrifying to watch.
His of course he's electrifying to watch because he's so damn strong, and he just destroys, makes people look like children in the post, even if they're taller than him.
Yeah.
But he's just a kind of unprecedented player in some ways. So I think I agree. I agree with all that.
You have to take that gamble. Like, he's a dude who like you've never seen before, and players like that usually have success.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
All right. What about you, Rohan? Would you trade your?
So yeah, with the Sixers, we have a nice plethora of best players. So you have Wilt Chamberlain, you have Dr. J, and you have Allen Iverson. I'd say the best one out of those 3 is Wilt Chamberlain for sure. Now with the Philadelphia 76ers, you have to. I was looking at this. Now the Sixers had some time when they weren't the Philadelphia Sixers. They were like the Philadelphia Warriors. There was like some weird crossover stuff going on, right? And now on the Sixers, he had a season where he went 50 points per game, 26 rebounds per game. Right? Like, again, that's probably not going to translate in the modern NBA. Like, you're not going to put up those types of numbers anymore just because defense is better big man. But I'd trade Embiid for Wilt Chamberlain just because now.
Yeah.
I think Wilt Chamberlain can do more alone, especially with the Sixers' current situation where they might have the Sixers wouldn't be in such a Ben Simmons conundrum if it was Wilt Chamberlain. Like, they wouldn't be concerned about trading Simmons for an All-Star if you had Wilt Chamberlain there. Because I think that the Sixers believe that like Joel Embiid alone will not get you far in the playoffs. Wilt Chamberlain would.
That's a good point.
You have to remember
I would like to remind you, even though Wilt put up insane numbers, he was not a very, he wasn't a winning player. Like, I think he has one championship. I'm pretty sure. He's got two.
Two.
Two
One on the
championships.
Sixers and one on the Lakers,
Oh, nice. Okay.
I think.
So yeah, I think a lot of what was said about Wilt Chamberlain back in the day was he's, kind of an empty stats guy. I know, like, that's kind of funny now because, we talk about empty stats players, but that's interesting that you would think that. I think a healthy Joel Embiid with his own team is a dominant force. I
But
mean,
see, that's the problem though. Embiid, every single season, he will get injured. At some
fair.
point or the other, he will have some sort of injury.
Yep.
And intangibles wise, Wilt and Joel are very close. Wilt
I think
Chamberlain
I-
was 7'1", 275. Joel Embiid was 7 foot 280.
that's fair.
I think
Size-wise, they're very similar
I think
like
I disagree with I guess your all-time best. I think Allen Iverson is considered the all-time great for the 76ers.
I'd say as an icon, yes, but if you think
And-
about as a player, Wilt Chamberlain is
Yeah.
an all-time great.
I
player.
agree. I think
Never.
on the
Wilt
all-time
Chamberlain
Allen
played in a
Iverson
different
pale in
era.
comparison.
Allen Iverson would be considered the Sixers player because he's a Sixers icon. When you think of Sixers, you think of Allen Iverson.
Yeah,
There's a
that's
difference,
the
though.
greatest. That's the franchise
There's a
best
difference,
player
though.
ever.
What
We're talking
about
the
Julius
best player to play
Erving?
for the Sixers.
Yeah. What about Dr. J?
So yeah, that was the bigger debate.
I'd
was
say
between Dr.
Allen
J and
Iverson.
Wilt Chamberlain, but Wilt Chamberlain is like an all-time great dog.
Yes.
force in the
Top
game.
10. Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure, but I think he had his best years.
and you also have to think about how the Sixers are constructed right now, right? Like the Sixers, they're very focused on the big man inside paint stuff.
If I'm the 76ers, I put Allen Iverson as my number one player of all time, and I would trade Allen Iverson for Joel Embiid.
I wouldn't say
All right.
Iverson's a
He-
great player. I just don't think he's the best player on who's ever
Wilt-
played for the Sixers.
For me, it's simple. Would I trade Wilt Chamberlain? Would I trade Joel Embiid for Wilt Chamberlain? Yes.
Yeah,
I think you have to. I don't think you have a choice.
Yeah.
I really think you
feel-
have to.
Wilt will win more. He's the same size.
Wilt
He's a
It's
monster.
it's Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, I like JoJo, but that's a different.
I agree. Absolutely. Dude, there's footage of Wilt Chamberlain like running faster than like their 6'1" point guard where he's just like
Yeah,
free length and
Wilt
he's up the
Chamberlain,
floor.
he's
Um,
intangibles. He's a monster. He's amazing. Like no question.
Agreed. That's pretty
I'm just
straight.
happy you didn't say Ben Simmons was the best player.
No.
Yeah, thank God. Thank
The
God.
biggest question for me was literally just who is the best all-time player for the Sixers.
I actually
It
think,
wasn't
I
even
mean,
just-
it's funny, and I don't know if we want to talk about Ben Simmons now, which I don't think we do, but like,
We can still have.
really,
We'll
I
wait.
think there was a strong case like 2 years ago that Ben Simmons was better than Joel Embiid.
There
Some
was a
people
case that he
thought so.
would be the better player. right?
Yeah.
When he had that rookie of
Still
the
has
year,
more
second year
potential than
campaign.
Joel Embiid does.
Yeah.
I think some nephews on Twitter and Reddit were just like, he's better.
Yeah.
I
And
think-
I think it's pretty clear now. Joel Embiid's definitely the best player on the team right
Yeah.
now.
For sure.
Um,
It was
I mean,
But
I
in
think Seth
all
Curry's the second
honesty,
best player,
I think-
but,
I think you would trade whether it's Iverson, whether it's Wilt Chamberlain, whether it's Julius Erving. I think I trade all three of them for Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
But I would say if Joel Embiid has a guarantee that he will never get injured, then it might become more of a question.
I still don't think
Dude,
Joel Embiid
'cause
is as dominant as even like Allen Iverson was in his prime. You know, we're talking
Joel
about
Embiid-
prime
Not-
years.
yeah, that's true. I mean,
I
Joel
think
Embiid.
Iverson was
He was
able
young.
to carry his 76ers.
He could make
team
more.
to the finals.
Joel Embiid's only
Yeah, but-
27.
The East was
Embiid
really
could
bad
do-
back
he's still-
then. There's actually like a lot of factors that go into that finals run. Allen Iverson was a really low efficiency, high volume player. And I love
Okay.
AI to death, but like he would not succeed. He's a Monte Ellis these days. Like he is not.
He would be
Yeah,
good.
but-
He would.
He
I
would
don't
be
know.
good.
He
He'd
would
be a
be
good player, he
He's
just
not
wouldn't be
putting
a
up
winner.
32 and taking.
I'd
his
say he's a
time.
better Kyrie Irving right now. Allen Iverson would be a better Kyrie Irving.
No, Kyrie Irving's 50, 40, 90, dude. AI had some seasons where he was shooting 40.
Shooting splits don't even matter. James Harden puts up such a high volume of shots. You know, James
Yeah,
Harden.
but-
Yeah,
plays
but
on
James
top of
Harden is not putting up higher percentages than Allen Iverson was
45%,
20 years ago.
38%. You know, it's not.
I mean,
Dude, I feel like with Allen Iverson, the thing about him is he was an icon. That's more. It's
Yeah.
like
It's not.
he's a
It's
great
not
player, but it's more
about.
about his
Listen,
iconicness. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's about culture. I think we're just talking about pure skill
if
basketball.
we're talking about basketball here, Allen Iverson, he was an MVP. But he was an MVP. He was an
He was
MVP level
MVP.
player, and he was a. I think he was a really good guy when it came to the culture of the team, and I think his teammates liked him a lot, and I think he
Yeah.
was really well regarded in the league,
Yes.
and he took his team to the finals.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid also has the potential to take a team to the finals.
Yeah, he just had an MVP season. He's just coming off of it. He would have won if he didn't get injured. Dude, he would have won if he didn't
With
get
the
injured.
health,
And he could have gone to the finals if Ben Simmons took that shot. You know that.
Actually, you know
It's
what?
tough.
No.
I think
Benson-
Iverson.
So much hate for that series, but like Joel had a couple bad games during
Joel
that.
had bad games too, but again, Joel was playing with a torn meniscus the entire series.
He was going up against Clint Capella and John Collins. Like Joel Embiid should take care of business in that matchup, and he didn't.
What are you talking
really.
about? Those guys are tough defenders.
They all.
I mean, no, I think
Yeah.
Clint's a pretty
Joel
good
Embiid-
defender. But
Clint
Joel
is a
Embiid
solid defender.
oversized, like
Yeah.
size-wise, John Collins should be like no problem for Joel Embiid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hell,
But
Again, you also
Capella's
have to
big.
take into the fact that he was
But
playing
and
with a-
skill-wise, Joel's better than Clint Capella.
Oh yeah, of course. But that's not the point I was making. I'm saying though that's a tough defensive matchup. I think you're kind of underestimating the Hawks here. I think the Hawks got so far in the playoffs because
No, the Hawks were good. I
their
think the
front
Hawks were a
court
good team.
their front court defense is insane.
I
Collins
think
and
all of the
Capella.
blame in their loss goes to Ben Simmons. How does a 6 foot what? How tall is Ben Simmons? 6'8"?
6'10".
6'9", 6'10", big.
6'9", 6'10",
It's
he's
not
big.
big.
Against Trey Young. Like, how do you not like just overpower Trey Young and just
I think
dive
they
to the
put
hoop?
bigger defenders
Well, no,
on.
I don't think Trey Young was guarding Ben.
Yeah, he was
Then
not.
who
Yes, he
can
was.
guard? Who guards Ben
Ben
Simmons?
Ben Simmons in that play, in the infamous play, he had a dunk right over Trey Young.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
Oh,
No,
was
but
that
I don't know if
Trey
like
Young?
that.
I thought it was like
Trey
Bogdanovic
Young's
or
assignment
something.
is
I thought it was
Trey Young.
Gallinari who was behind him. Gallinari
Yeah.
was behind him, and he was
Either way,
worried to get
Ben Simmons.
off.
I would definitely say Ben Simmons does take the lion's share of the blame for that playoff series loss.
All right,
Those
we got to
stats-
talk.
All right, let's move on.
because
Let's move on.
gotta move-
Want to
we
go
gotta-
Celtics or
We gotta go to
Knicks?
Celtics.
Let's
Celtics
go to
will be
the
an interesting
Celtics.
topic.
The Celtics I've been thinking about for a long time. It's really tough because we have Bill Russell, who's like the winningest player of all time, absolute defensive
Larry Bird.
beast. But like I look at our big man rotation, and I really like Rob Williams, and I really like Al Horford. What's it called? And like I don't think he helps if you take out Jason Tatum, who's the Celtics player.
Tatum's the best, right?
Yeah.
What'd you say? Yeah, Tatum is
your franchise
Tatum's
player
by
for
far
sure.
the best. Jalen Brown,
Okay.
close second. Then I got to think about Larry Bird, and honestly, I think Larry Bird would fit really well into the spot because he's kind of like, you know how Gordon Hayward did a lot of everything and was like incredibly good. He was a great shooter, a good defender, a good passer. He's literally
Imagine
like
that times 1,000, times 50,000.
Yes, times freaking
Larry Bird in the
Bird.
modern NBA would have killed it.
Yes, Larry Bird would be an absolute beast. So you slide him in at that small forward spot with instead of Jason Tatum, and that's a pretty good team. Dennis
So yeah,
Schroeder,
you have to talk
Jaylen
about
Brown,
right, yeah.
Larry Bird, Al Horford, Rob Williams. That's a finals team right there.
Yeah.
But honestly, Jason Tatum's incredibly good. Like I think Jason Tatum's ceiling is still yet to be discovered. He's also 19. You know, that's the internet meme that he's like always 18 or whatever. Yeah, I don't think there's much argument about it. Like we can discuss a little bit more, but that seems pretty evident to me.
What you would
What was your-
trade?
You would trade Tatum for Bird?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
I would too.
I would do the same thing.
Yeah. I think the Bird pick was a good pick for an all-time great, and yeah. You wanna move on to the Knicks?
Made.
Yeah, we can do the Knicks.
It's a good question.
I don't.
I'd say the Knicks is a no-brainer.
I think the Knicks is a no-brainer too. Our best player currently is obviously Julius Randle. The problem being that he hasn't been a star for very long. So you can't really go ahead and say, oh, this person's ceiling is going to be so high. I have no idea what Julius Randle's ceiling is, and based on what I've seen, it's very unlikely that Julius Randle will get to the level of a guy like Patrick Ewing or Willis Reed or Walt Frazier.
Walt Frazier.
I love Julius. I love him because he's the star of my team currently. But
Sure.
as
Is there an argument to say it's Kemba Walker?
no, there's no argument.
Okay.
It's not Kemba. It's Julius.
Julius Randle is their franchise player.
I think Julius Randle's the franchise player, but I think the problem is Julius Randle has kind of already hit his peak. Like this is his ceiling.
And also,
I think he could improve a little bit, but
Yeah, I
I
think
think he could. I
I
think
will
he's. I think he's
say
room
that,
for
like,
crazy
improvement.
work ethic, and he's like
He's a dog.
he's a dog, you know, and I think he takes that playoff performance really seriously, and he's like,
Oh yeah,
I gotta
I
get
think
better.
he's not going to do that. I don't think he's going to do that again.
I
I
agree.
think we're gonna. I think
That was
he
his
could
first playoff series.
have I think he could actually improve quite a bit. It's just improvement. He could improve a lot and still
His
not be as
mental
good
game,
as Walt
he was just
Frazier.
taking so many jumpers, took way too many jumpers, and that's not going to work. He's got to body people, kind
He's
of
got
like
a body
Zion.
people. Yeah, I think
people-
so.
I feel like that was a big problem with a lot of players. They weren't playing how they play.
Yes.
That's what happens a lot to a lot of players in their first.
In the playoffs, it gets tight.
Playoffs.
Defenses get tight.
You have to
and
play
can't
like how
jump
you
a lot of the
always play.
time.
You can't
You
just
see, but
change
this
your
is the
game.
thing. He relied on these jump shots a lot during the regular season. That was like one of his main
Yeah, he was really efficient.
ways of attacking. He was insanely efficient from the mid-range and from three-pointer. That's how he got most of his buckets. That's how he got about 50% of his buckets from
Oh, okay.
long mid-range and three-pointers is over 50% of his baskets.
Wow.
So yeah, that's where he made most of the improvement, as well as passing. But again, getting to Walt Frazier, one of the most skilled point guards of all time, a champion, or Willis Reed, another strong big man, or Patrick Ewing, a guy who went to the finals multiple times.
Yeah, do you think about fit? Like, who's going to fit best? Because they're all comparable players.
Who's gonna fit best now? I would probably say, oh God. I mean, I think it's always good for the Knicks to have a good point guard.
That's fair.
I don't think Walt Frazier was good on both ends of the court. He was, and Knicks haven't had a point guard like that in a long time, so I don't think picking him is a bad choice. But I also don't think
Jeremy Lin. I feel like you're.
Jeremy Lin in that 10-game stretch.
Can I use 10 games of Jeremy Lin? Does that count too? Okay.
Yeah.
Jeremy Lin is
This will
not.
be
Aside,
interesting,
jokes
actually.
Jeremy
What
Lin
about
is
Carmelo Anthony?
not.
Wait, what about Carmelo
Is
Anthony?
there an argument for Melo to be
Yeah.
the best
Oh,
player on the Knicks?
No, of course
What
not.
about Porzingis? Hingus Pingus?
No,
Okay. Carmelo is not the best player in the Knicks franchise history. It's not
Knicks
not
have a
close.
rich plethora.
There are at least 5 players who are better.
John Starks?
Not better than Melo, but good. I would say that like maybe Bernard King and maybe Richie Gurin, or whatever you pronounce his name, old player.
Charles Oakley?
Going deep in that.
Willis Reed,
I'd
Walt
say for the
Frazier.
Knicks, it's really just between Frazier and Ewing for the best.
It's
all-time
really just
player.
between Frazier and Ewing. Melo
Yeah,
Melo got
Melo-
us to the second round one time. Good for him.
Also for
Good for him.
Melo,
I love him.
Think of him as
MVP candidate that year.
Huh?
He was an
like
MVP
for Melo.
that year. Is there how many
Right.
MVPs are in Knicks history?
Let's see.
One. Willis
Good.
Reed.
Willis Reed.
I think he won it once.
I think that might be your answer.
No, I don't agree. The thing is, Willis Reed won Finals MVP both times. The Knicks won a championship, but I still don't necessarily think that means he's better than Walt Frazier. Walt Frazier is so timeless. I think he's a timeless kind of
Yeah.
player, and he's one of the highest IQ point guards ever.
I gotta watch
So
more Walt Frazier footage. I don't really know his game at all, to be honest.
he's classic kind of point guard. I mean, I haven't seen that much of his footage either, but he's an incredible. He's an A tier, S tier passing kind of player. He's also a fabulous defender and also he's a culture setting kind of player. So
Yeah.
So here's at the end of the day, yes, would I trade Julius Randle for any of those 3 guys? I would.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I probably agree.
I agree.
If
I think there are very few teams currently where the star player doesn't get traded for the all-time great. I think there's
Very few
the-
situations.
very few situations. I think the Milwaukee Bucks currently are one team where their all-time great is their current all-time best.
What about Kareem?
I think Giannis is a
Yeah.
much
I
better
would-
Because
player.
I think Kareem's greatness was in the Lakers more than
Yeah, it's Lakers.
No, he was a
Kareem.
beast on the Bucks. He was nasty on the Bucks. He just didn't.
he was
have
a beast on the
help.
Bucks, but I feel like his greatness came from the Lakers.
I
It's
still
great.
think that
Okay.
Giannis has kind of surpassed
Yeah, Giannis has
Kareem
become because
in
he's
terms
a
of
Bucks
their
icon.
Bucks tenure.
Okay. In
Yeah.
terms of the Bucks tenure, yeah.
Giannis is a Bucks icon, right?
I
Like,
wouldn't
he's
trade
really
Giannis
Bucks.
after he just won a championship.
I agree.
That's
I agree.
absurd.
But there's
That's
I think
absurd.
there's a conversation to be made about Kareem and Giannis because Kareem is a top 5 player, and Giannis
Two.
could be headed there, but like realistically, Giannis is probably like 8 or 9.
But
right now,
Kareem's
Giannis is
glory
potentially don't get
days
rid of him yet.
came with Magic on the Lakers.
Yes, but like he was a legend before then. He won scoring titles and MVPs. Like he won.
What about Oscar Robertson?
Oscar Robertson too. Like Giannis has
I
won
still
one
think-
ring, and it was an easy-ish ring when you think about it.
he had to beat the
Shut
Nets.
up.
He had to beat
Okay.
the
Shut
Nets in the
up.
Lakers.
There's no
There's a lot more.
there's no such
gauntlet
thing as a
and-
Mickey Mouse ring. Shut up.
There is a Mickey Mouse ring.
No, there's no
No.
such thing as a Mickey Mouse
He-
ring.
Argument to be
He
made.
went
Like,
through
no
a
top
gauntlet.
players.
He
He
went
had to
through
go
the
through the
Heat.
Nets.
He swept the Heat,
Okay.
beat the loaded Nets,
Beat
and
the loaded Nets. Two of the Nets' best players were injured.
Okay, stop. They still had Kevin Durant.
whoa, that was
He still
the
had to beat
Bucks'
Kevin Durant
fault.
head-to-head.
Who was the next
He
best
still had
guy
to be-
after Kevin Durant? Was it a washed
James
up?
Harden.
Yeah, but James Harden was like 50% James Harden.
An injured James Harden is still a good player.
He
Great
chose to
player.
play, and yeah,
He was hella inefficient, but okay, fine.
It doesn't matter. An injured James Harden is still a
Beat
great
a
James Harden
hot-
with that IQ.
hot Hawks team. The
Hot
Hawks had a hot hand,
We played the Suns in the finals. Yes, I know.
which was a very solid team. The Suns were the number 2 seed in the West.
Let's not. Hey, seriously, there's no reason to. No, for real. Don't discredit this guy's championship
No,
I
no.
think-
with his team.
He's your championship, though. Whatever. That's fine.
He's a championship. Every team's gonna have to face teams that are injured to win a championship. It's just how it is.
That's true.
You want to put
That's
an
what I-
asterisk on the?
Yeah.
Just don't put an asterisk on these things, man.
No asterisk.
Um,
I just wanted you guys
no
to
asterisk.
pretty much. Yeah.
What about? I'm also thinking that maybe a tough one is the Mavericks. Dirk
Oh, that's
Nowitzki or
tough.
Luka.
I'm taking Luca.
I think I'd
You-
stick with Luka.
I would stick with Luka, but you can't. You can't go wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about the
yeah.
What about the Denver Nuggets?
Jokic versus?
Jokic.
I think Jokic is probably the best
Agreed.
player in their history.
There's
Probably
Really?
Melo.
Better than
Wait, what
Melo?
about Melo if he
better than
stayed?
Melo. Better than Melo.
Yeah.
Oh
Melo
yeah.
if he stayed?
Oh yeah. Much better than Melo. Jokic, much better than Melo.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a tough call to make, but I can
not a tough
agree with
call.
that. I can agree. Jokic
What
might be the
about
best.
what about the Rockets? They're kind of rebuilding, but
James Harden.
let's consider
Or-
James Harden versus like Yao Ming or T-Mac.
No, Hakeem Olajuwon.
Hakeem,
Elijah.
Hakeem Olajuwon, two-time champion, MVP.
Yeah,
is the
wait.
best
Lakers.
player in the history of.
Lakers.
Lakers
it's-
don't. I was thinking about the Lakers. Don't do that to. Let's not do that. Okay.
We're not gonna do Lakers.
That's your
What do you
choosing between LeBron, Kobe, and Magic, and maybe
LeBron, Kobe,
LeBron
Magic,
James
Curry.
is 36. LeBron James is currently 36 years old. I'm taking Kobe or Magic or Shaq.
Prime. Okay.
Any of them.
Yeah,
Any of them.
Blackjack, yeah, for sure.
Fair.
I'm taking Big Shot Bob Ori actually.
Over
Same.
LeBron. Oh, okay.
I mean, he's only
Not over
brought
LeBron.
what 3 championships?
6, bro. 6.
6.
Yo, let's move on. That was a really fun franchise thing. I'm glad we did that. Let's do a little Ben Simmons conversation. There's a lot to be discussed. It's kind of like the only thing that's on NBA Twitter right now. John Wall trades potentially. People are talking about Minnesota's interested, Cleveland's interested. Who wants to open it up? Rohan, I know you have a lot of opinions about this. Why don't you just hop in, okay?
Okay.
Just go nuts.
So to start out, I think there's a lot of things you have to look into with this Ben Simmons. Number one, what I will say is Ben Simmons has to realize that he's not in control at all, right? He doesn't have any credibility to be pushing for a trade with the Sixers, right? Well, he hasn't provided anything. If anything, the reason he's not getting traded is his own fault, right? It's not like the Sixers are treating him poorly. He's in this situation because he didn't play well, right? If he played better, the Sixers would have been able to find a trade for him. They're looking for trades for him.
That's fair.
Also, I would like to say on the Sixers position, they're in win now mode, right? They have a player who's early in his prime, I would say. Joel has just entered his prime. So they want to win now, which is why they're going to be looking for an all-star. Or at least all-star potential.
Where do you think his trade value's at?
Right now, his trade value is a low-end all-star potential all-star.
Wow.
Really? Okay. So
A
name.
player,
Can you,
no, that's what the Sixers the best they will get for it. If that's what you mean by trade
can you
value.
name a player? Can you name a player who's
Now,
comparable in value to
My
Ben?
favorite trade for Ben Simmons right now would be John Wall for Ben Simmons.
Wait,
Now-
I want each of us to do this so we have all different understandings of his value. Everyone should do that. Like, pick a player in the league who you think is comparable value to Ben Simmons right now and as good as Ben Simmons. You
Can I
pick
give
someone.
a?
That's
Can I? Well, okay, no. Hold on. I'm saying the best trade for him, and I'll give an argument for why. If you look at John Wall, over his career, right? He is 19 points per game and 9 assists per game, right? Now it's not even like he's not hitting that number. He exceeded those points on the Rockets last year with 20 points per game. He's hitting 6.9 assists per game. His 3-point percentage is obviously better than whatever Ben Simmons would put up anyway, right? Like he's not that off of his career average, and he's not that off of his best season either. His best
That's
season was
fair.
23 points per game, 10.7 assists, and he's hitting 20.6 and 6.9.
just you're
He's a
trading for
solid
like
player.
31-year-old.
And he's a man who can pass and run the offense.
His whole that's. I'd say John Wall is even worse than Kemba Walker at this point. And man, if you traded Kemba Walker for Ben Simmons, that is not a good trade for getting Kemba Walker.
Dude,
For
John
who?
Wall, you have to.
Is Kemba Walker better than Ben Simmons?
I'd
No
say,
chance. No. Ben
I'd
Simmons
say
I think he's a much better player. I consider Ben Simmons, my guy was going to be DeMontis Sabonis. Someone who puts up really good numbers.
but I don't think the
borderline
Sixers would trade
That
for
could
DeMontis.
totally happen. That
Yes,
could
but
totally
They
happen.
do they need DeMontis Sabonis? They have someone who dominates the game. They don't want someone who's going to be going into the.
I think we're
They
just
want
talking about
someone who can
comparable
dominate.
value. We're
Okay,
not talking
so
about
that's what
trade.
Talking about value.
we're talking
Talking about value.
about
I don't think the
comparable value.
Pacers would ever trade Sabonis.
I would trade if you were Pacers,
Pacers
man.
might want
would
to
you
trade
not trade
Sabonis.
Sabonis for Ben Simmons right now? Because I would do that in a heartbeat.
I think
Actually,
I
that
think
could
the
happen.
Pacers are missing like an elite scorer. You know, they have Brogdon as point. Brogdon is a very solid point guard.
Agreed.
I'm kind of upset the Bucks.
Karis LeVert. They have enough scoring. They need more facilitating and more defense.
And okay, no, you make a valid point. You
But
make a valid
who's your
point.
player? Tell me your player who's considerable value to Ben Simmons, like comparable.
I mean,
Okay,
I don't
this
know
is gonna be
if it's fair
super
if I bring
slanderous. I
anything,
already
'cause
know.
I'm so
not even
anti-Ben.
asking for
I
his
think
opinion.
Ben might be worse than Kuzma right now.
Stop.
Dude, what?
Stop.
This is
Stop.
ridiculous.
Slap.
This is
respond, please.
Ben Simmons is a
Ridiculous.
defensive player of the
I
year.
know,
When
I
has
know.
Kuzma
I'm
got
gonna
close to
slander
winning an
Ben.
award?
Such a clown opinion. Listen, Ben Simmons is a clown, but that's a bad take.
Yeah, that's slanderous.
Okay.
I know.
When
I'm
has Ben-
biased. I
Has
agree.
Kuzma
I'm so
got close
biased.
to winning a single award? Not even most improved player has Kuzma gotten close to winning that.
Here's the thing. This is my thing. I think a lot of people bring up the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I actually think that could work for them, but I think they need to trade like D'Angelo Russell. I don't think they're going to be able to get Simmons without trading Russell, which I don't know. Maybe you don't want to trade Russell. Maybe you do.
I think.
But
you
I would
do
say
Russell to be
he's
honest.
kind of a comparable player. Somebody who's been an all-star before, who knows how to shoulder a load, who can provide buckets, get three-pointers. You know, a younger, and he's not even that old. He's only 25 years old. So somebody like that, in my opinion, is good. And it's just so tough with Simmons because Simmons could still develop into a franchise player if he goes to the right team and they get his head straight. I mean, I'm not anti-Ben. I think he's a bit of a clown, but whatever. I just think that his block is a mental block.
I agree.
He's
Like,
like
this is
a
gonna sound
thing with
kind of
Simmons-
blasphemous, but I think that Ben Simmons could be better than Giannis.
No.
He has
oh my
all
God,
the
you're
physical
crazy.
tools that Giannis has.
You're-
And he's a better passer.
Giannis is
He
the
doesn't
best
have the
player.
length.
Giannis
He
is the
doesn't have-
best player in the NBA.
in the NBA.
Ben Simmons,
Ben
will
Simmons
probably be
does.
the best
Ben Simmons doesn't have the
Could be
length.
the best player in the NBA if he
I
did
would-
everything right.
Okay,
Again,
realistic.
that's every single player, though.
I
No
won't
player isn't like
slander.
that.
I won't slander. I'm not gonna slander Ben Simmons, but my comparison for Simmons is prime Rudy Gay. That's as good as Ben Simmons will ever get.
I'd say
Prime
currently
Rudy
it's
Gay.
not.
Bro,
Dude, Ben Simmons is a jump shot away from being an amazing player.
I don't know if the jump shot's
Bro,
ever
you
gonna
know how many average Joes are a jump shot away from being a great
Okay,
NBA
so
player?
now
I'm a
LeBron.
jump shot
That's
away
true.
from being a
Yeah,
great
me
NBA
too.
player, dude. So is Ethan. So is Zach. So are you, dude. Like Ben Simmons just
Okay.
can't like wake up one day and start draining shots. You know, like
Hold on. So
that's not gonna
LeBron put this. I don't know if you guys saw this, but LeBron's tweet where we're just like, people are working on things in the offseason, but they never bring it into their actual game, right?
Yeah.
So now, one thing I would say with Ben Simmons is, again, we've seen the video of him being able to shoot the ball, right? Now it's
Dude,
just
it's
about
so
just
different in
attempt. Hold
practice.
on. Yeah, I understand, but you just have to start if Ben Simmons starts attempting shots, it'll show that the mental block is over. He just needs to start taking shots. That's all he needs to do.
I fully agree. He takes like
Right,
8 shots a game. His efficiency is like 65%. He just got to take more shots. Absolutely.
So now, one other thing I will say.
Ben Simmons will always has this demon in the back of his mind that Kendall Jenner left him for Devin Booker because he'll never develop that J like
No,
Booker.
it's not. Now, if we can have a serious,
he'll never shoot like Booker, he'll never beat Booker, he'll never get Kendall back, and that's gonna haunt him for the rest of his career.
If we can have a serious idea, I would say any team that is going to get Ben Simmons, one, is not going to be a playoff team. It's going to be a team that's in rebuild mode because Ben Simmons currently is a big project to take on.
Does Ben
That's
Simmons
the thing. The Timberwolves is good. The Rockets are good. I
really like the Timberwolves idea. I
like that a lot. I think it's a perfect fit.
Honestly, D'Lo, I think you need to add something in addition to D'Lo to get that.
I wouldn't say so because I think D'Lo does have All-Star potential. He was 2 years removed from the All-Star game.
He just like plays no defense.
Okay.
Whatever, and
they have defensive players though.
I know, right? But like, you can't really hide him.
They just need someone who can run the offense and shoot. Fair. That's all they need. Right?
Anthony Edwards.
But then the Timberwolves aren't going to trade Anthony Edwards. He's a young rookie with a huge potential. They're not going to trade him.
Why would they want Ben Simmons when they just drafted a rookie?
Because they need defense in passing.
Yeah.
Literally what they
that's
need.
Exactly what Simmons provides.
Can develop into that. You don't have to give up assets.
Yeah, but until that, you can help Simmons develop that part.
If I'm the Timberwolves, I am definitely trading Ben Simmons for.
I like that trade a lot.
I'll give D'Lo. I would literally give probably not Jaden McDaniels. I would give them Malik Beasley maybe or Mikal Beasley. What's his name?
They just invested so much money into Beasley. Why do?
I would say D'Angelo Russell for Ben Simmons straight up is a great trade. They're around the same age, around the same point in their career, and they have around the same resume.
That's true. Except for the all defensive teams that Ben's been on.
Okay, but then D'Angelo Russell also put up an MIP candidacy a couple of years ago with that Nets squad.
Yeah, he was an all-star once in a weaker Eastern Conference. Like I
like going to
just as much as the rest guy, but like that's valuing Ben Simmons lowly. Like last year, if you said Ben Simmons and D'Lo have the same trade value, people would have spit in your face and been like, Ben Simmons is a top 10 player in the league. D'Lo's 30, 35.
I think Ben Simmons, if he just shows up and starts playing a single regular season game, his trade value will go up.
Agreed.
Okay.
If he just plays a regular season,
I think the problem is that you guys are living in like this like hypothetical world right now. That like
Ben Simmons has always been this player.
If Ben Simmons does no, Ben Simmons was better. Ben Simmons was a much better player coming.
No, but he's always had the same exact issue.
Ben Simmons would actually score points. His points per game has gone down by season. So he's actually a worse player now than he was 2 or 3 years ago.
Well, he's gotten better defensively.
Maybe, but statistically, it's been pretty similar.
Because defense, you can't measure it with stats. Defense is that test.
Sure. But also, the 76ers are a great defensive team, right? You have Embiid patrolling the paint, which kind of puts pressure on the front court, which allows Ben Simmons to play a little bit riskier, which you don't have that freedom on other teams.
No, but something that you're not realizing that Ben Simmons provides is that there's not many players in the league that can do this, is that he can guard close to all 5 positions. I could say he could guard 4.5 positions efficiently.
Couldn't guard Trae Young.
No, he could.
He locked him up game 7.
He locked him up when they played Trae Young.
He just didn't do anything offensively.
But Hawks still won. Trae Young still cooked them.
But that's not defensively, that's an offense.
Trae Young cooked them.
You can't. He did not.
Cooked them like a Philly cheesesteak.
No, there's been games when Trae Young literally got like 3 successful field goal attempts, right? Like Ben, you cannot deny Ben Simmons' defensive presence.
Yeah, I think
how many, dude? If you can try to name 5 players who can efficiently guard all 5 positions.
Sure. All I'm saying is that doesn't make you a starting all-star player. I think Ben Simmons is a starting player on at this 25 out of 30 teams. He's a starter on 25 out of 30 teams.
Yeah, more. I think you're. What were you going to say?
I think Ben Simmons is best served as your 6th man off the bench.
No. He's a starter
because he can't score. Because he can't score.
Rudy Gobert.
Best play will come.
There are players on teams that are very offensively gifted. Like take the Jazz for example.
Draymond Green
Royce O'Neal,
starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
33 minutes
Draymond
game
Green can
just for
score
defense.
when he needs to score.
So
can
can
Ben Simmons.
Simmons.
He just
Score.
doesn't.
No, he can't.
It's a mental thing, Rashad. It's a mental thing, Rashad.
Yes.
I agree.
It's
I
mental.
agree. But you can't just like one day be
Rudy
like, oh, I'm gonna
Gobert.
score today and like go
Rudy
out and
Gobert.
fuck it.
It's gonna take
Gobert.
a team It's gonna take a team effort to fix his mental issues.
Yeah.
Rudy
Yeah, but
Gobert
Gobert
averages
will
12
actually
points a
put-
game.
He'll put
Rudy
up
Gobert
Gobert
points
gets
a game.
exposed in the playoffs
Yeah.
year after year.
Well, there's a
Yeah, we're
much
not
worse
talking about
offensive
Rudy
player
Well,
Gobert.
than
that's why
Ben
everyone slanders Gobert too.
Yeah, but not as much as Simmons right now.
Why do you
People
think Shaq came out and was like Gobert's garbage as shit?
I don't think he said that.
Yeah, but dude,
And
again,
I
Gobert's
quote,
slander isn't
Shaq
even
said
close
he's
to
garbage
Simmons.
as shit. That's so funny.
I don't know, Rob.
You do have to dude. Both the Sixers and the Jazz both took those
If-
same players
if
who can't
I'm a-
play to the number one seed in their respective conference.
If I'm a head coach on an NBA franchise and I have Ben Simmons on my squad, I already know that I can't play Ben Simmons in the last 3 minutes of a tight game.
No,
I
if you
can't.
coach him
You
up,
don't-
you can.
Offensively,
It's a project, but it's
offensively
possible.
right now
Actually,
at this current
that's-
moment,
yeah.
I can't have him playing. So why is he a starting player on my team? You know, I would rather have someone.
Because he provides
who I
you some
can-
defensive lockdown.
But there's so
Dude,
many players who are
okay,
good
again, like I'm
defensively
saying,
and
Ben
offensively.
Simmons probably
Drew
right
Holiday. Drew Holiday is a great defensive
Drew
player.
Holiday is better than Ben Simmons.
now. Yeah,
Is better
we're
than
not
Ben
denying that.
Simmons.
We're
But
not denying
Drew
that.
Holiday is not an all-star starting player.
Okay, so is that
He
what you're
could
mad
be.
about? That
He's
Ben
good
Simmons
enough
is
to
an
be.
all-star?
He's
Is that what
good
you're mad
enough
about?
to be, but he hasn't been.
Question.
He was
is
in
that
the
your
Western
standard
Conference.
right now?
Yep. He
Huh?
might be this year.
He might be
I
this
think
year.
he's good.
You have
He's-
Kyrie and Drew Holiday in the East. Those are the two best point guards. Kemba maybe.
Yo, bro, are you saying that your slander on Ben Simmons is just that he's an all-star? Is that the number one reason why you don't like him? Is that the fact
My
that he's an all-star?
slander on Ben Simmons is that when I need him to show up, I know he is unable to.
There's a lot of Rudy Gobert is
Not
in that same exact
Not that he
boat.
doesn't. He can't. He can't show up when I need him to show up.
That's
and
not,
that makes
he
you-
can.
Not a star player on a team. Maybe a starter. Okay. Maybe I pushed it too far. Maybe he is a starting player, not a star player.
I'd say he's a
Star player
project
has
away
to be
from a star
reliable
player.
in both facets of the game, offense and defense.
Agree.
I need to have them playing in the last 3 minutes of a close game. And from what I've seen from Ben Simmons, he's an offensive liability. I have to waste timeouts. I have to waste possessions on getting Ben Simmons off the court to put in a better offensive player. You know, the Sixers were taking out Ben Simmons to put in Danny Green for better offensive production. Like
Danny freaking Green, man. Yeah.
Danny freaking Green,
Ben
who's
Simmons-
notorious for
Dude.
missing 3-pointers.
Ben Simmons, I agree, is a project right now.
He's a
But
project.
he's definitely
He's a
definitely
project, what, 5 years into the league?
He's
That's not
There are
something
players
I
who-
want to invest my
There's
time
players
in.
who win their most improved players 5 years into the league.
His prime is like, if he hasn't been,
There's
like,
Julius
improving.
Randle is probably 5
Mhm.
years into the league, and he just won
Julius
his most
Randle's
improved
a
players and is a
different player,
star.
though.
Needs to be on a team like the Timberwolves, and people will realize his value. Like he's gonna go if he gets traded to Minnesota, he's really gonna take it personally because nobody wants to be in Minnesota.
Yeah, true.
Minnesota fans, and he's gonna take them to the playoffs, and you'll see his true value. I think Philly fans.
or if we see
I'd
his
say-
personality and he
The whole-
deflects
the only
blame, he won't even try on this Timberwolves because
only
he doesn't have
slander-
the personality either. Like he's came
Honestly,
out and
I
just
think
been
it's
like,
all
"There's
kind
no
of a little
problem."
too soon to be so skeptical. He just had a collapse. This is gonna be his bounce back year, or he's not gonna do well, and then it might go downhill.
I feel
from
like this is his most defining year right now
Yes,
I think
on how his career will go.
I think
Does
he
I
can-
agree.
finally
Oh,
buckle
easily.
down?
Yeah,
But I think you have to understand. The point is that none of these. I don't think the extremes on this are right. I don't think that Ben Simmons is completely lost, and I don't think he is I don't think he's a complete lost cause. It's just going to take work from a team, the management of the team, the coaching staff, and the players. Every level
yep.
of this team is going to have to put the work in to basically save this guy's career and him, of course, more importantly than anything. But I think it's going to take people around Ben to convince him to put the work in.
Here's the problem. The 76ers are looking for another
No.
all-star caliber player and multiple first-round picks for
No.
Ben Simmons. So any team that's gonna trade players for Ben Simmons has to be in win now mode. Right? That's
No.
that.
Has to
That's
be
the
Not
second-
every
like
all-star is
9
on a team that's in win now mode.
What team has all-star caliber players that aren't like playoff teams?
The Kings.
The Kings potentially with De'Aaron.
But there's a
Fox.
reason the
Literally
Kings
every
haven't
team has an all-star
made a
caliber player.
trade. If
Okay.
the
Any
Kings
team that
want Ben
has- yeah.
Simmons- if the Kings want Ben Simmons, why have they not made a trade yet?
Bradley Beal.
Because the Sixers are in win now mode and they don't feel like the Kings offer what they need.
Ben Simmons has put out his list. He wants to play for the Warriors,
The Sixers
the
don't
Lakers,
care about Ben
the
Simmons.
Clippers.
Yeah.
Be honest, the Sixers do not
Yeah,
care
but
about
Ben
his list.
Simmons does. You think?
Yeah, but
Ben
it's not up
Simmons
to
is
Ben
the type
Simmons
of
about
guy-
where he gets
Do you
traded.
think Ben Simmons is the type of guy to go into a situation he's unhappy with and put in the work? No, because he hasn't been doing that in
But it
Philly.
doesn't matter. Honestly, we're talking about what's going on with Philly, right? With Ben Simmons, it's
We're
all
talking
to
about
him.
both.
It's up to,
We're talking
it's
about
up
Ben
to, okay,
Simmons.
but Ben Simmons
and
is
the
up to
Sixers.
Ben Simmons. The Sixers aren't going to care what's good for Ben Simmons. They're going to care what's good for the Sixers.
I know, but
Right.
does Ben Simmons care about what's good for Ben Simmons?
That's up to Ben Simmons. That's not up for us to talk
Yeah.
about or anyone to talk
It
about.
is
It's all
up
on
for
Ben
us to
Simmons.
talk about. Because
How?
if Ben
We
Simmons
can't
isn't
decide
going to
what-
put in work,
I see the point you're trying to make, but like if the Sixers ship Ben off to somewhere and he doesn't succeed, the league is going to forget about him so quickly. And I think that's what he fears more than anything. Maybe I don't really know the guy personally by any means, but like players who just drop
really,
off.
I feel like Ben's kind of, from what I can see,
Ben
It
fears this whole
looks like
social
he's-
media age.
it looks like he's lost his love to be
Yeah.
great at basketball.
It does.
I
That's
feel
why
like
I think he
I
Ben
needs to
don't
go to
think he
Minnesota
cares.
and realize
I
how
think he
dedicated
cares
it
to
is.
be relevant. I think he cares to be a celebrity. I think he cares to be famous and popular. But basketball wise, I think he doesn't care to be the greatest.
I think Ben Simmons, the problem right now is with all like, I'd say I sound like very redundant and people
All right,
heard
guys,
this,
let's
but
get
like the
two last
social media.
thoughts. Rohan, Rashab, and Zach, if you want to speak, and then we'll do breakout player of the year. But we should move on.
I'll like wrap off this quick talk. So basically with Ben Simmons, I think it's this whole social media thing, and that's why he's afraid to shoot. Because he knows if he takes a shot and misses it, he's gonna get so much slander all over. And I feel like that's why he's afraid to shoot this ball. He knows that if he shoots a three and misses it, it's gonna be all over social media.
Yep.
Everyone knows that, right? If he attempts a three and misses it, people are gonna go crazy at him. Which is why I think a small market team would be great for him with not as big of a spotlight, so he's free to make mistakes.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's very fair.
I think that I think it would be better. I don't know if Ben Simmons knows it would be better for him, but I think it would be.
It's so sad though, because like all we really want to see him do is just attempt a shot. Like I know social media,
Yeah.
Ben Simmons missed this, and we're just gonna be like, look, he's trying, man. Like that's all the fans want to see for real.
Yeah.
That was my piece. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess I'll finish this off. I think I definitely hate on Ben Simmons, but for a valid reason. I think that Ben Simmons has the potential to be great. I think I agree with all of you in saying that he can be a great player, given his build, given the skills, the IQ, everything he knows about basketball. I think he can be great. I think it depends on Ben Simmons to put in that work. And as of right now, as a fan of the NBA, I just haven't seen him put in the work to be great. So that's why I'm a little skeptical. That's why I'm harsh on him.
Nice.
But I will be the first to give him his roses if he is able to put in the work.
We're gonna hold you to that, okay?
Yeah.
We definitely
What
are.
we'll do is if Ben Simmons averages more than, what's the number for you, bro?
20 points per game.
Okay,
20
Ben Simmons
points.
averages, no, I'd say 17 points per game.
20.
I want
Okay.
To be a star. To
He's
be a
never
star,
averaged
you have
either,
to
by
be 20.
the way.
Yeah,
He's never
I would say
averaged
17.
either.
I'd say Ben Simmons averages 17 points per game. You have to say 10 nice things about Ben Simmons and
10.
buy Ben Simmons jersey.
Yes.
No, 20 points per game. If he averages 20 points per game, I'll come onto the podcast wearing a Ben Simmons jersey.
And you have to say 10 nice things about
And
him.
you have to kiss his ass.
Sure. I will kiss his ass for the entire season or
Nice.
the entire off season if he can put up 20 points per game, because that's all-star caliber.
He's
point
never put
production.
that up.
Yeah, he never
in his
has. He's never been
career.
that player who will put up that. He's been a defensive player.
But if you
in the
want to
past.
be an all-star starting player, you have to put more than 20.
Look, his
don't
best
know
season was
that.
17 points a game.
I think so. I think that's a requirement.
Chris
to
Paul
be an
doesn't average.
all-star
Chris Paul
player.
doesn't average more than 20 points a
Rudy
game.
But he
Gobert doesn't
did at a
average 20
point in
points
his
per game.
career.
Average more than
Rudy
20.
Gobert never has, and he's been an all-star.
Steve
Yeah, but-
Nash didn't. Steve Nash didn't really average 20 points per game.
It was a
I'd-
totally different game when Steve
I'd say,
Nash-
okay,
True.
Ben Simmons' best season has been 17 points per game. I'd say 18 points per game, and you have to say 10 nights
I don't
and
know.
buy a
For someone
jersey.
who came into the league with comparisons to LeBron James, for you to not put up 20 points per game is a failure.
I'd say
I don't
18
care, you
points per
can
game
put-
in defense.
But listen, Ben Simmons says I don't think he's lived up to the original hype that he's been. He did
Exactly.
it. He did in his
And-
first season, but not now.
I think he showed potential to live up to that hype, but he hasn't. 20 points per game. I'm telling you, 20 points per game. I'll change my background logo to the Sixer to Ben Simmons.
No, to Ben Simmons.
Okay,
I'll wear a Ben Simmons jersey.
nice.
I will say 10 nice things about Ben Simmons.
And
Only praise Ben
You should
Simmons.
say
now.
76
appropriate,
nice things.
but you have to make a deep fake porn video with Ben Simmons'
Yeah.
face.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree.
That's only
I
reasonable.
like this.
And
If
post.
he averages 20 points per game.
20 points per game.
Let's call it at that. That's great. And then
And
really
I think that's a
quick,
great
wanna wrap up-
segue to most improved. You know,
Most
I don't
improved
think
player
Ben
of the
Simmons will be most improved, but I have a list. Someone else want to start?
Zach, what you got? You got something?
Yeah, I guess so. Let's see.
Are we listing it or doing a single?
Let's
think
just
Pick
chat.
one or two
Okay.
players that you really believe in and like kind of explain their situation and why you think that they're going to make a jump.
Breakout season. All right. My prediction for who could have a breakout season: Malcolm Brogdon.
Again, bro.
I love the Brogdon talk on this. Nobody talks about Brogdon, but we
Malcolm Brogdon
love that.
is a guy whose stats I've been following for the past couple seasons, and he has so much talent, and he's such a good all-around player that it's only a matter. And he's so efficient that it's only a matter of time before once this Pacers team, which I think is probably going to keep him, once they're a playoff team, which I think could happen at any point.
I think this
He's
year.
going to be an all-star. He's going to be all NBA.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that
Take a
pick.
lot.
I think Brogdon is a very efficient player. I think it's just like now just like doing more of it, you know, like
Exactly.
I know he can score at 50%, just gotta score more now. I know that
Yep.
he's
He can do
great
threes.
passer, he's great rebounder, like at his
He defends
position.
well.
Yeah, we just need to see more of him now.
I think the biggest shame is that the Bucks traded him away to get Eric Bledsoe. I think that's
Well,
the saddest part ever.
It worked
I
out
mean-
in the end.
It did work
Yeah.
out in the end, but like he was playing off ball a lot, and off ball Eric Bledsoe was off
Not
ball Malcolm Brogdon was a beast.
Oh, Malcolm Brogdon.
Sorry. But
Malcolm Brogdon is seriously good player.
Yep, I agree.
I would love to have a guy like that on my team.
Me too.
I would. So that's my choice.
I agree.
Just one quick follow-up question. Out of point guards in the East, where do you think Brogdon sits?
Currently,
Wow. Okay.
Currently, coming into this season.
I mean, I'd say it's pretty like similar to what your rankings are per team, you know. I'd put Brogdon as 7th, 8th best in the East.
really, that's high.
That's
That's
high,
really-
I think.
He's
You have a lot
considered. I see a list. Here's Hollinger's Eastern Conference player statistics of point guards. He's listed at 8. This is 2021.
Who's above
He's
him?
listed at 8. Who's above him? Kyrie Irving, Trae Young, Drew Holiday. Westbrook is on this list, but he's not in the East
Lowry?
anymore.
Well,
Derrick
Bradley Beal
Rose.
would replace him, I'd say.
Derrick Rose is above him in this list, which I don't know if I agree with. Ben Simmons is above him. Colin Sexton.
Mm,
This is by PER. That's why. This is by PER.
oh. What about Kyle Lowry? I was thinking. it
Kyle
was
Lowry is
Kyle
12th.
Lowry.
I put Lowry above Brogdon.
Yeah,
I would
Lowry
put
above Brogdon.
Drew.
As the number one point guard in the East.
No.
Kyrie,
Kyrie,
Trae Young.
Drew,
Trae Young.
Trae Young, LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, I would maybe put him. Well, I think they could maybe be around the same level.
I would say LaMelo and Brogdon are probably
Equal.
the same.
What about Colin Sexton?
I like
So-
man. I don't get the slander. I don't understand. He's really efficient with it. He doesn't pass
The
very
slander has been like tabloid locker room stuff where
I
they're saying
know.
that he's not. It's
Who,
not real.
Sexton?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been his.
So, okay,
That's been the
so
big
I
thing
have-
about him.
So I actually, for my most improved player, I have a list of 4 players. One of them, which is Colin Sexton. I watched a couple of Cavs games last season,
They played the Nets.
specifically a couple of games where they played against the Nets. And I don't know how do you guys watch that. I think me and Ethan watched it together. But Sexton
No.
was going off that game, just
Dame Lillard, like
Yes.
Dame Lillard, like, and I've seen him at Alabama where he carried like a 4-person team and like this close to willing them to like a win
Yeah.
on a 4v5 game. I think Colin Sexton has this dog mentality of like, I'm the best player, like I'm gonna do whatever it takes to win. And I really like that in players.
Absolutely iconic college basketball video was when
Mm.
looks at him and then Colin Sexton just goes right up in his face and looks right back at him. I love that.
Yeah.
That's a good pick.
I also
What else are
have
your picks?
I have Michael Porter Jr. on the
Okay.
Nuggets.
Nice.
He's going to get a lot of points. He's going to be a big time scorer
I
this
think-
season.
Yeah, I think he was a great steal in the draft. He slipped a little bit further than he should have. Great pickup by the Nuggets. And we've seen him put up some solid statistical games these past 2 years. And I think he's like can only get better. I think he's going to find a better role within the Nuggets offense.
Mhm.
I think the Nuggets as a team are going to be incredible to watch this year, just with Murray coming back and Porter Jr.'s development. I also have Kevin Porter Jr. on the Rockets.
Yeah,
Mm.
man. I love
I'm
Not a bad choice either.
Another Cavs player who was a little disgruntled in the Cavs locker room due to some circumstances, got traded to the Rockets. But I think he also has this potential to be a star player on the Rockets alongside Jalen Green. I don't know how it's going to work because I think they play the same position at small forward.
No,
and-
point guard, shooting guard.
Point guard, shooting guard. Okay. I think that he's a great player, great young player who will get better this season. And I really hope to see him putting up some really good statistical performances and just like an overall good season. And lastly, and this is more of like a recent revelation, but Cam Johnson on the Suns. His efficiency when he was playing and was shooting on the Suns was ridiculous to see. His dunk on PJ Tucker was a top 10 dunk of the year. I think Cam Johnson is going to develop into a really good player. He just needs to be given the opportunity to play in that starting 5 of Paul Booker, Cam Johnson at the 3, Peyton at the 5. And
what about Cam Reddish?
Cam Reddish, I'd love to see take a jump.
I would like that too. I don't know where Cam Reddish fits into the Hawks. I think the Hawks have a very, very well balanced, deep roster. And as good as I think Cam Reddish can be, I'm just worried that the touches on that team aren't enough to go around just because they have
a good trade asset. I mean, he could be a trade asset.
Good trade asset. But I'm worried that he won't be able to show his full potential just because of the amount of talent on the Hawks.
It's true. It's fair.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to take a little bit of an untraditional route. Okay, my first very traditional, very basic that we just need to put out there, I think is Lonzo Ball. I think
Lonzo Ball's a great pick.
Yep.
Right. That's like an obvious pick. I think this one's not someone who's going to win most improved player, but I think it'll take a very big, important jump for his team. Would be Dillon Brooks. I think if you look at his numbers, he's had consistent improvement each year. He's been going up in numbers. He's just averaged 7 points per game. But my problem is I don't see him as a true number 2 yet. I think this year he takes that jump and becomes a real co-star for John Morant.
What about Jaren Jackson?
Really? Yeah, Jaren Jackson's already the co-star to that.
Yeah.
But I think, dude, there were games last year when Dillon Brooks in the playoffs was putting.
Dillon Brooks averaged 28 in that first-round series versus the Jazz.
Yeah,
really good.
Exactly. He was putting up some big numbers. I think he becomes that co-star on the Grizzlies.
Maybe Triple J switches to like the 3rd star or something like that.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I think Dillon Brooks is about to take a huge jump this year.
Those are great picks, honestly. I have a couple weird ones, I think. First one I wanted to mention was Rob Williams on the Celtics. I mean, God, you can't
love
not
Rob
mention
Williams.
him. For real, there's
I
a
like
lot of hype around him. That 8-block game against the Nets, holy shit. I don't know if you guys saw that. I watched that live. He was everywhere, and nothing was getting in the paint. He was like in more athletic Rudy Gobert. It was really freaky. So I'd love to see him take a big step. We just gave him a contract extension for 4 years, and he'll be our starting center full time. Like we made a commitment to him. So that'd be great. And then this one I'm a little hopeful for is Devontae Graham on the Pelicans. I would love to see him become like one of the best 3-point marksmen in the leagues. I think he's going to get a lot more shots now because like there's kind of a logjam at point guard last year on the Hornets. So he was kind of relegated to like the third point guard at sometimes. But we also sent him to a contract. I hope he's been working this summer. I hope he gets in the gym and gets a lot better. And then 2 others I wanted to mention were Karis LeVert. I
Good
really
score.
like
Good score. Very good
season.
score.
I like Harris.
I love Karis. And 2 years ago when the Nets went into the play-in tournament, he was their lead guy, and my God, was he so good. He was like he took I think they played the Celtics round 1, and it was 4 games, but like he was the only guy scoring in those 4 games. And like they had Jamal Crawford on that team. Joe Harris was like the second guy, and he was just very impressive. And then Spencer Dinwiddie, who's also coming back from injury.
Yeah.
With Bradley Beal, and I hope he should get back to that like 16, 7, and 5 this year.
I mean, Harris embarrassed your Celtics a couple of years ago when he put up that 50-pointer.
I know.
And won it in OT.
I know. That was great. Like that's the moment where we were like, damn, this kid can ball.
Yeah.
He also went to college with Duncan Robinson. So just a fun fact.
Okay.
I played together.
Cool.
Guys, anything else we want to add? Any other tidbits?
I think that was pretty good.
That was really solid, guys.
Yeah.
That's the second episode of the Load Management Podcast. Thank you guys for joining. We'll be back next week.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching. All right. Yeah. See you guys next week. Cheers.
Yep.
Sounds
and
good.
next week the NBA season is about to start, so it should be a fun.
Holy crap! Really? Preseason?
2 weeks from now. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
October
It's
1st.
mid-October, and we're already almost done with September, so we're a month out.
Also, like to mention, I will be working for the Pelicans starting on Friday.
What?
dope.
So I'm really excited to get started, and hopefully I can get some merch for you guys, or
Can you explain the role that you are with
Congratulations.
the
What kind of
Pelicans?
role?
Thank you. It's a seasonal position. So there's like hope of getting a full-time job after this. It's really low pay. It's like not ideal, but it's the freaking dream. It's the only job
That's awesome.
I could get. So I'll be working under their sales team, kind of like I think guiding like big clientele and like making sure their experience is really good and a lot of customer service stuff. So
Awesome, dude. That's great.
freaking hype, guys. Happy to be doing this with y'all. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye, guys. Take it
Just
easy.
end off. Just
Bye-bye.
as a reminder, the season starts October 3rd.
October 3rd.
Is the
All right.
first day.
All right. Save the date.
Yep.
Bye,
Cool.
Load Management crew.
Bye.
Yep. See ya.